You remember Lenore Skenazy? Years ago, she let her 9-year-old ride the subway alone in New York City, no less. She wrote a column about it in 2008. And what was the response? She was called the world's worst mom. In the age of helicopter parents, just leaving your kid alone for too long is a no-no. Letting them ride the subway in New York City, for some, that's a capital offense. But many were inspired by her words. And since then, she's led a movement to make children more independent, which is the subject of her recent TED Talk titled, Why You Should Spend Less Time with Your Kids. It may sound paradoxical to some, but Lenore Skenazy, I think, makes a good case. She's written a book on this entire subject. It's called Free Range Kids, and she's co-founded Let Grow, which fights for childhood independence. And now that TED Talk is available on YouTube, racking up views as we speak. Lenore, great to have you back. Spend less time with your kids? You better explain that.
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me back, Michael. I know we've been over this topic for many years. And while I say spend less time with your kids, I'm not saying spend no time with your kids. But what we've forgotten, and what that little snippet of the 5-year-old going to Chick-fil-A proves, is that what kids love is being able to say, I did something myself. I did it myself is a really key part of childhood. It's an anti-anxiety drug in a way. And when we're always with our kids, helping them, doing things with them, explaining, some of that is good, but too much gets boring for the parent and a little stultifying for the kid because they want to see what they can do. When they see what they can do, they rise to the occasion and we get to see it. It's great all around.
I can only imagine that if Lenore Skenazy is now saying, hey, parents, spend less time with your kids, again, you might be cast as the world's worst mom. You said something in the TED Talk that I thought was really interesting. Your husband never gets identified as the world's worst dad. Why is that the case?
You know, we love to rag on moms. It's almost a national pastime. And I think the reason that that Chick-fil-A little clip became so popular is because a kid got out and did something by himself, cops were called, and no one arrested the mom. I mean, we're really at the point where any mom taking her eyes off her kids for any moment is considered evil, bad, wrong, immoral. And here were even the cops realizing that there's nothing wrong with that. The kid did something on his own. We're not going to arrest the parents. It's normal.
Okay, so let's run the clip because I do want to make a comment about it. Show it again, Catherine.
We arrived on scene.
Hello. Hello.
And as we walked in, we see a little kid sitting at the table eating his breakfast with one of the managers. Hey, buddy.
Oh, look at that.
We asked where he came from, and he kept saying he walked to Chick-fil-A.
You know where your house is, right, honey?
It's right across the street, right over there.
Okay, cool.
I have children, and, the first thing, you get that knot in your stomach because, somebody else who's a parent is missing their child. Are you going to show us where you live?
Yeah.
Okay. We gathered him up. Look at that. Say thank you.
There's a cow for you.
I walked him to the back of my patrol car.
Are you going to get me in jail?
No, I'm not going to put you in jail. And we started checking in.
Okay, so I have to tell Lenore and everybody else. My producers are saying in my ear, Lenore, you can dump out of this at any time you want. It goes on for another 2 minutes. And I'm sitting here saying, I'd like to sit and watch it for another 2 minutes because I'm so transfixed. My take on this is I hope the parents knew that he was headed to Chick-fil-A. I'm cool with them if they know he's going there. Obviously, we don't want the 5-year-old to just get up and go on his own. In your subway case, you were in on it. Your son was in on it. Your husband was in on it.
Right. Right. So the reason this story has transfixed you, and I think the nation, is we've really forgotten how much kids are capable of doing. And to see a 5-year-old who can actually get himself someplace, order food, talk to an adult, pay with actual money, has almost become a fantasy in many parents' minds. And this is just a good reminder of how much kids are longing for independence and how much they can do when we let them. I don't think the parents knew in this case that the kid had gotten out. And of course, you don't want your kids to leave without telling you where they're going. But it is a reminder that kids are way more competent than our culture even lets us believe. And that's what I'm trying to prove here. The segment you had right before this was about optimism and how important it is to believe in things, including your country, including your kids, including your neighbor. And you really can't believe in something until you see it in action. And that is letting your kid be part of the neighborhood, run an errand, make you breakfast, bring you breakfast from Chick-fil-A, and then you realize, like, hey, things are pretty good. If you stay inside all the time and just keep getting, obsessed with bad news, it is hard to realize anything good about yourself, your kids, or your country.
This reminds me of your work on behalf of the Childhood Independence Law. Kind of interesting that we even need such a law. What is the law? Because I can see this set of facts in a different state, perhaps, not Florida, somebody saying, oh, we ought to charge the parents. Please explain.
Well, situations like that moved Let Grow, the nonprofit that grew out of free-range kids, to try to make sure that no parent can be arrested or investigated simply because their kid does something on their own, walks to school, climbs a tree, goes to the store. So Utah, in 2018, became the first state to pass a reasonable childhood independence law that says that neglect is when you really put your kid in danger, serious, obvious danger, not any time you take your eyes off them. And since then, another 10 states have passed this law, and it's always bipartisan, and it's often passed unanimously because nobody wants to have to second-guess their parenting decisions when they're ready for their kid to go someplace, or God forbid their kid gets out on their own. That's not evil. That's not bad parenting. That's just called being a parent and having a kid who is not Velcroed to you every second. And it's good for the parents to have some independent time, but it's great for the kids, right? We're so worried about them being so anxious and always being on their phones. Well, if they're outside playing or going to Chick-fil-A, they're not on their phones. They're part of the world. They feel better. We feel better.
Lenore, one of the reasons that I enjoy having you as a guest is that you make me nostalgic because you are always describing the way I was raised. But what I need to ask you, 60 seconds left, what the hell happened to those of us raised free range who became helicopter? Can you put on the screen David French's comment? You were referenced in David French's New York Times piece, and he said this, if our childhoods were that wonderful, why didn't Generation X replicate our own experiences for our children? Why did so many millions of free-range kids grow up and become helicopter parents? What's the answer to that?
I think it's because this generation of parents was raised with the milk carton kids. And those were pictures on milk cartons of missing children, and it never had an asterisk that explained, I was taken in a custodial dispute between my divorced parents, or I ran away because the stepdad was bad. And so we started thinking, you grew up with the milk cartons in front of you as you ate your Frosted Flakes, thinking that children were being snatched willy-nilly off the street. And then I also have to blame 25 years of Law and Order. Almost every second of every day, you can watch some horrible story, especially SVU, of a child being in harm's way thanks to a stranger. So we really became obsessed with stranger danger instead of seeing the children and the wonderful country we have in front of us. I know it's not perfect, but our parents could send us out even though there were cars, even though there was some crime. Crime went up. It peaked in the 90s. It's been coming down since. Doesn't feel like it. But if you believe that your childhood was a good one because your parents trusted you with some independence, you can give that to your kids. And once you try it a little, it grows and grows because you see how much your kid can do. And that's literally what Let Grow is about. Let go and let grow. And it's that simple.
Thank you, Lenore Skenazy. And can I say to everybody else, her TED Talk is terrific. You can find it on YouTube. Go watch it. I've done it. You'll love it. From the world of social media, what do we have? This comes from X. Parents should stop trying to be their best friend and savior. We are raising a bunch of self-entitled, self-absorbed little blanks, parent, teacher. You know what? I got to tell you something, 2 Cent Tony. Here's something interesting. It is largely our fault if you buy into Lenore's thoughts, and I do. She wrote a piece in The Atlantic. I hope we have this. And she surveyed kids. If we have it, Catherine, put up the bar graph that we were talking about a moment ago. Like, what do you want? We asked the kids, or Lenore asked it. There you go. How would you rather spend time with friends? And can you see the plurality on the far left? Free play. They want to do they want to be in the backyard. They want to run free in the neighborhood. They want to just have balls and bats left for them and get out of the way. And yes, they have tolerance for taking away their screens. So it's largely our fault, is the point. It's not their fault. It's easy to blame them and like, oh my God, these kids today, all they want to do is look at their smartphones. That's another good thing that she points out, which is be a good role model. You know, a smartphone is like a yawn. Watch this happen at restaurants. And again, I'm guilty as charged. I am not holier than thou. But how often do you like look around at a restaurant and one person checks email and then everybody feels compelled? I don't even think it's a conscious thing. It's like, oh, instead of yawning, you look at your phone. Coming up, your social media reaction to my commentary. And don't forget to answer today's poll question at Smerconish.com. Do you think the American dream, that if you work hard, you'll get ahead, that it still holds true, that it never held true, or once held true, but not anymore? And from marketing consultant to rural Appalachia mailman to make ends meet, what my next guest learned from delivering the U.S. mail. Make sure you're signing up for my newsletter at Smerconish.com. It's free, it's worthy, you'll love it, and you get the work of legendary illustrators like Steve Breen.